Have you ever thought about waking up one day and being like, wow, my back really hurts, I hope that's not bad, and then having that back pain last and linger for over 3 days? Couldn't be me. It's definitely me. Hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to the 30th episode of the FVI. Isn't that crazy? I mean, holy moly, 30 episodes of the FVI, which, if you do not know, it is a series I do on my channel known as the First Volume Impressions. It's where I talk about first volumes, I talk about one-shots, and I give you my opinions, usually a bigger review than my typical reading logs. I go into the characters, the story, and the art. I tend to lean more towards not spoiling everything, to give people a chance to read these series. But yeah, I can't believe it. 30 episodes. That's crazy to even say and think about that I've been doing this for so long. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to go into some fantastic series this time around. I hope you guys are excited. Let us go. Alrighty, so the first volume I'm going to be talking about is actually a re-release in a way. It is actually a re-release. Definitely not in a way. It is a re-release. It's one that I've actually been really excited about, especially when they announced that they were going to do smaller versions. I tend to always prefer smaller manga volumes just because I like reading with one hand. They're more comfortable to read, and I can read them like walking around doing whatever. So I was really happy when they announced this. It was first released in May of 1997 in Shonen Gohasha's magazine known as Young King Hours, and that is Kota Hirano's Hellsing. This series, I think a lot of people already know it. It's had multiple releases at this point. This is, I think, at least the third release. I don't know if that's for sure, but there's definitely been 2 releases before this. They've had the original Dark Horse releases, the deluxe editions, the giant hardcovers, which is what I was kind of saying in a way, where I did not want to have those hardcovers. And then we have these new releases with a new translation. Yeah, let's go into it. So first off, let's talk about the cover and the spine. So, such a cool cover. I think this is a really iconic, really cool cover across the board. We have our main character Alucard here with his super cool gun on the front. Really awesome, just red, black, white, really good color mixture. It's one of my favorites that I like to use whenever I do art. And yeah, really nice spine as well. Transfers over to the back where we see one of our other main characters, Integra. So yeah, overall, I think this is a really, really cool, pretty awesome cover in general, and spine as well. So yeah, let's go into some more details. Let's go with the characters first. Just kidding, I'm not going to talk about the characters. I'm actually going to talk about who worked on this really quick. We have translation from Dwayne Johnson and lettering and retouching from Wilbert Lacuna and Studio Cutie. And now we're going to talk about the characters. So, first off, we got ourselves not Hellsing. His name is Alucard, and Alucard is a vampire who is actually also a vampire hunter. He's super cool, creepy, cold, cunning, definitely feels like a villain, but is not, at least in this instance. He's actually a really cool character. I like him a lot. He has a lot of really cool moments, specifically in the first volume, so hopefully that continues into the second volume. And, as I mentioned before, I'm going to also talk about Integra. I don't usually talk about multiple characters, but I feel like Integra is just important to the story. Some might say integral. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, so Integra is our other main character. She is the leader of Hellsing, which is this organization, which I'm going to talk about during the story, but she is super flippin' cool. I like her a lot. She is also cold and cunning, really, really smart, really intelligent, really strong, across the board, really good with words, and just has like this kind of ruthlessness that you can kind of feel is festering from something, which you do get in one of the chapters, but I'm not going to be discussing that at this point. Now, to go into the story, so that I can also talk about the characters a little bit more in depth, but basically, Hellsing, like I mentioned, is an organization that hunts down vampires, which is believed to be in England, from what I could tell. And then they have a couple of run-ins with a different organization, which you should just go read if you want to find out. But yeah, it just follows the story of Alucard as he proceeds to defeat all these evil vampires and other monsters and creatures. It's really creepy. It's really cool. I think the story is actually a lot of fun. It's really well told across the board, at least with the first volume. The story is fast-paced. You're going to be going like jumping between stories here and there. You get a really cool background story with Integra, like I mentioned, and how they come to meet Alucard. It's, yeah, I think overall the story and the characters are a lot of fun in this first volume. I think the writing is a little bit edgy, but as to be expected for a 90s series. But overall, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool, and I think it is definitely worth checking out just for the story alone. Now, the art. Whew. Kota Hirano really knows how to draw some exciting panels, some really just like intense fighting across the board, really grotesque moments. I don't know if I should flash through here, but yeah, it's extraordinarily violent, almost in like a comedic way in a way. But yeah, the monster designs are super good, really nasty, really grotesque, really feels like ugh, like that's kind of icky. But also like there's some really cool weapon designs across the board. A lot of the costume designs are super well thought out. A lot of the characters are also really well thought out and really well designed. I really appreciate it when women aren't just like like big boobies and like whatever. Like they're actually like there's some kind of idea and design with their style, and it actually plays a part into the story. It's great. I really think Hellsing does a great job with that across the board. I think the art is fantastic. Now, in terms of suggesting to read the series, I would say if you're looking for a really cool action series that's from the 90s, this is definitely a must pick up. It's really fun, and it's just really intense across the board. I think the horror elements will also catch those people as well. Would I say to suggest to read this for younger people? Probably not, because there's just a lot of moments that are like very, very violent. So, you know, if you're okay with that, go for it. I think Hellsing is a pretty cool action series. Alright, so this next volume actually originally released November of 2016 in Shueisha's Weekly Young Jump, and it is this beautiful new series from Hikaru Nakamura, at least new for us in English, and that is Black Knight Parade! I hope someone understood that reference, but I just feel like I had to make some kind of Rage Against the Machine reference. I don't know. I really like that band. Anyways, Black Knight Parade. Let's get started talking about the cover and the spine. This is a really cool cover. It's got a really nice like metallic for the font for the title, which is really neat. I always like when they do that kind of stuff. It's really dark. It's kind of hard to see obviously in this lighting that I have here, but yeah, this is a really cool like volume just in general. Really cool, interesting cover. Really enjoying it. I like the spine as well, even though it's kind of just a copy of the front. And yeah, the back just has more just information in black. Or in red, gold, and green. So overall, I think it's a pretty solid cover and spine. Talk about who has worked on this. We have ourselves translation from Richard Tobin, lettering and retouching from Viet Phong Vu, cover design from H. Chi, and proofreader is Dave Murray. So, mentioned Hikaru Nakamura. I have not actually read any of their other series, but they are the same mangaka behind Arakawa Under the Bridge and Saint Young Men. So I probably should have seen this coming when I'm going to talk about the story, but I think this cover is a little bit of a trickery, to say the least. But let's talk about our main character. So we have ourselves Hino Miharu. He's actually not on the cover here. This is somebody else, which I will get into with the story. Basically, he's a people pleaser. He works at like this like store. Kind of hates his job. Kind of hates the people around him. Just wants to kind of find a better job. That's kind of like what his goal was in the first place. But he really seems to care about like trying to do this, trying to impress his family and not have him worrying about himself. So I actually like his character a lot. I think he's got a lot of room to grow, and I think he's going to be a cool character as we continue to move on through the story. I think he actually gets some pretty decent growth even within the first volume, and he's just overall pretty funny. I think he's a funny guy, which plays into the story. So, story, there are two Santas. As we already know, there is the Red Santa, aka, you know, the Santa that everybody knows. Big boy, big beard, yo-ho-ho, or ho-ho-ho, I almost said yo-ho-ho. He's not a pirate, ho-ho-ho. He is the Red Santa, so he brings all the gifts for the good kids. However, there's also a Black Santa, who is the one that brings gifts to all of the bad kids. So he brings coal, he brings animal organs, which they wanted to make sure to specifically state that. And yeah, after Hino Miharu does something, commits a crime, the Black Santa shows up and he's like, you're gonna have to pay for that. So takes him to this wonderful world, and we just get this absolutely strange, wacky, bizarre like story where now he has to basically work off his crime by working for Santa. It's You see, remember how I mentioned that when you read about the writer or the mangaka before and what they've written before, you should probably expect it's going to be kind of like a comedy, very strange series, and lo and behold, it was very strange. It was not what I was expecting. I thought this was going to be more of like a horror thriller kind of thing, like another action series, but no, it's definitely not. It's actually a comedy series, and yeah, it was so weird. I don't know how else I could put it. There's just a lot of weird, strange moments, a lot of moments that did get me to laugh and just kind of like giggle, tickle my fancy in a variety of ways. But yeah, it's definitely not what I expected when I look at this cover. When you look at this cover, do you think it's going to be a comedy? Please let me know in the comments below, because I definitely don't think so. Anyways, I think the art is actually really solid. I think the art across the board is pretty fun. I do think of some of the faces get a little bit janky here and there in terms of how they're drawn. The perspective gets a little funky, but overall I think it works with the comedy style of the series. We get a lot of great faces, a lot of funny references. Overall, I think the art plays really well into this comedy style. So do I suggest this? If you like Hikaru Nakamura, I would say yes. If you're looking for like a kind of just wacky, weird comedy series, I would say also yes, with a little tinge of horror. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say this was amazing, but I did have a very good time. I would say if you're looking for what I just said, then go give it a shot. Okay, so the third series I'm going to be talking about is actually one of the ones that came out towards the end of October, and I heard a lot of people, or I heard a few people asking me if I was going to do an FEI for it, and I decided to move it into the November one because I didn't have enough time to fit it into the October one. So this series originally released in October of 2019 in a magazine called Be Love. It is a series by Rikachi, and that is Nina, the Starry Bride. So this series, like I said, came out in October of 2023 through Kodansha, and I'm here to talk about it now. So let's talk about this absolutely gorgeous cover. Wow. This cover is beautiful. It's kind of hard to see in this lighting. I'm going to try to show it off as best as possible. There's some beautiful embossing here on the title, which is really cool. The artwork is absolutely stunning. So gorgeous on this cover. The spine, also really pretty as well. And the back cover, you know, it's nothing super crazy, but I think it works with how beautiful the front cover is. So it keeps your eyes on this. This is so gorgeous. Wow. I don't know how else I could really say it. It is beautiful. Woo. Anyways, let's talk about the people who worked on this. We have original digital edition translation from Stephen LaCroix, original digital edition lettering from Andrew Copeland, original digital lettering edition editing, from Talia Sutton, print edition lettering from Nicole Roderick, and print edition editing from Maggie Lay. Woo! I don't know why this one had very specific how that was set up, but I just want to mention everybody that works on it. So let's go into our two characters here. So we have two characters. One of them is Nina. She is a poor girl, which you come to find out in the first chapter, so I'm not spoiling anything really. But yeah, she has a very sassy personality, very witty, very much one of those people who like bites back when you're like yelling at them. Yeah, she's actually a really fun character to be around, at least from reading standpoint. She's like a ton of fun to watch. Overall, like she's like trying to be better, but also like she's still got like her roots, and I really appreciate that with her character, especially within the story, which I will be going into in a little bit. But yeah, I think overall Nina's a really cool main character, and I really like her a lot. She's awesome. Coming up next, we have ourselves Prince Azure, who's going to be this guy over here. He's kind of a quiet, he's stoic, he's definitely like almost like an opposite of Nina, and yeah, he's just a great character. I like him a lot. He's really kind, really cares about the people around him, and is definitely trying to continue this facade that they are creating, which I will be talking about during the story. I think he's also a very complex character. I think there's going to be some things that are going to be revealed throughout the story that are going to play and build his character more, which I really like. I'm excited to see where Prince Azure's character goes as we continue throughout the story. Now, talking about the story. So basically, Nina is sold off, in a way, by one of her friends, because she has beautiful blue eyes, which is an extreme rarity, and the kingdom is trying to find a replacement for their former princess, whose name was, I believe it was Alicia, I guess I didn't write her name. It's something like that. It's something, let me make sure. Is it on the back? It is not. So I don't remember what her name was. I apologize. But anyways, she was the former princess, but she had died in a carriage accident, and they needed to find a new princess in order to like basically create diplomatic relations because she was about to be married off to another royal family. So Nina is basically taking her place, but she's having a hard time fitting in because one, she's not a royal, so she doesn't really know how to do any of this royal stuff, any of this noble stuff, and yeah, she's definitely being pressured by the people around her, obviously by the royal family themselves. Overall, the story is actually pretty intense. You would be surprised how intense this story gets at some points. There are points where I'm like, oh, please, please, please don't let it happen. And the first chapter already starts out with like a huge bombshell, which I'm not going to spoil, but definitely a very interesting way to start off a series. But overall, I think this was a really, really great story. These characters are awesome. The writing is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. And that's not even talking about the art. The art is beautiful. And a lot of really great moments, a lot of beautiful backgrounds, a lot of just nice character designs, a really great outfit and costume design across the board. I think this is a fantastic series. If you're looking for an interesting kind of like kind of like a medieval series. I won't say it's fantasy per se. It's not super fantasy-like yet, from what I could tell. But overall, this was a lot of fun. I had a great time with this one. I read it very fast. It's a pretty quick read. But there are a lot of like little details here and there. Just absolutely gorgeous, and it's so much fun. I would say give it a shot. I don't care who it is. Take a look at it. I think it's fantastic. Even if you're not a big fan of these kinds of stuff, just give that first chapter a read and see how you feel about it. I think it's definitely worth your time. All right, going into our final series, this was one that people were super hyped about getting a print release, and I was also very interested in this one. So this originally released in December of 2021 on the Shonen Jump Plus app. It is by Taizan 5, and it is going to be TPIs Original Sin. I was about to say Taizan 5, but you already know that. So yeah, let's talk about it. One, this cover is great. I really like this cover. It's beautiful. It's creepy. There's something off about it, but you're not really sure what it is. And it's going to be very exciting to see what happens. However, I can't say the same about the spine and the back. I don't know why they chose this gray, but I am just not a big fan of it. I don't like it. It kind of really doles out just how gorgeous this cover is, which is a shame. I think it really, I don't know, it doesn't really look nice in terms of spine and back. I do like that they use pink and black in terms of their text, or whatever you want to call it, it's like magenta, I guess. But yeah, it's just something about the gray back. It's just not, it's not doing it for me. I don't know what it is. It's just not working. But let's talk about who worked on this series really quick first. So we have translation from JN Productions. We have touch-up art and lettering from Stephen Dutro. We have cover and interior design from Yukiko Whitley. And English adaptation / editor is Annette Roman. I think that's how it is, how it's pronounced. Anyways, let's talk about our characters. So we have two that I'm going to be talking about. One is nowhere to be seen on here, but one of them is Takopi. So Takopi is, I don't know what their actual name is because I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically the people on Earth call them Takopi. Takopi is basically this alien from the planet Happy, that their whole goal is to make people happy, make people smile, whatever. And Takopi is really interesting, very naive throughout this entire story. They obviously start to grow and learn more, but like when they first get there, very naive, totally optimistic about everything, doesn't truly understand what is going on until we get to like the end of the series, which talk about it during the story. But overall, I think Takopi is a great character. One of those characters you want to root for, but I think is also a perfect example of how toxic positivity is a thing. Where if you just tell someone, oh, it'll get better, blah, blah, sometimes it doesn't always work in terms of how people and characters will grow and move on with certain things. Especially with dealing with trauma, I think Takopi is a great example of how toxic positivity affects people around them, which I will go into during the story more. Then we have our main character, I would argue, that is Shizuka. This is the girl here in the front. She is the female lead that Takopi meets at the beginning of the series. And yeah, she is just going through it. She is struggling a lot, has so much going on her plate. I think she's a very unique and complex character. I would say the closest comparison I can make in my opinion, would be like Poon Poon from Oyasume Poon Poon or Goodnight Poon Poon. In terms of like how her character is, where you're just kind of like wondering how her character is going to develop as she ages, because yeah, she is going through it at this point in the story. Let's talk about the story. Like I mentioned, Takopi comes to Earth and finds this girl here, Shizuka, who has just looks like she has been mercilessly beaten. So he is trying to figure out what is going on and how he can help her be happy. And yeah, this story is like, without spoiling it, it is so crazy. It goes through so many highs and lows. You have no idea sometimes what's going on. There are some absolutely ridiculous plot twists that happen in the middle of the series and towards the end of the series, which answers all the questions, ties them up with a nice bow. But oh my gosh, there's a lot of effed up stuff. I'm gonna be putting all of the trigger warnings on the sides here, because like there's just so much that happens that is like so intense, almost to the point where it's like really hard to look at and watch. But wow, it is a very, very well-crafted story. It's intense, keeps you on your toes, makes you think a lot too about just a variety of topics. And I think overall it's a very, very good story. I think it's done very well. Going into the art, it is a very unique art style, and I will say that will probably be the thing that scares off the most amount of people. It's this very sketchy, very unique art style. I would say a lot of the characters have like very large heads. There's a lot of like just like nice facial expressions across the board. Some fantastic double spreads, which I can't show because one, some very, very controversial and also what's it called, like intense content that I don't think it would be appropriate for YouTube. Honestly, you know, just if you check those trigger warnings, it should give you an idea of what you're probably gonna see. But yeah, there sure is a lot of that. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous backgrounds. There's a lot of really good art across this entire volume. I think Takopi's Original Sin is a really good one. I will say it is definitely got a lot of like very dark moments. It's a very dark series. So if you're not ready for that, just be warned, just to stay away for now. But yeah, if you're ready to have like a very emotionally draining, very dramatic series, I'd say give Takopi's Original Sin a shot. I think you will have a great time. Alright, here comes the most subjective part of my videos, especially for the FVI, and that's where I am going to rate the 4 series that I did the reviews for. So we have the 4 here, and yeah, so in terms of rating, this was an interesting one. I think I'm going to put Black Knight Parade at the end. I think it's just because it just, it didn't tickle my fancy in some sections. I think the art is the part that, that tore me away from it the most. And I think like I just came into it with the wrong kind of mindset, which is on me. I know that for sure. But for me, Black Knight Parade was my least favorite out of the 4. After that, this is where it gets hard. I think, I think I'm gonna say Takopi's Original Sin next, because yeah, it's just very good, and that's about it. I don't know, I can't really say why I put this one below, but Hellsing was just so flippin' cool, so I think it deserves a second spot. And Nina the Starry Bride was my favorite of the month, even though it came out in October. So yeah, Nina the Starry Bride definitely wins my manga of the month. It was fantastic. It was so lovely. I had such a great time. It was one of the first volumes I read in November, yet I could still remember most of what happens. And yeah, I think that's just a testament of how well it's written. It's very good. I had a great time with it. But yeah, overall, honestly, these are all good in their own rights. I think they all each have things that are really fun, really enjoyable. So yeah, have you read any of these series? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you liked them. Let me know if you hated them. I'm very curious if like you would have put these in a different list or like different kind of order, or did you have different feelings about how I felt about these series? Please let me know. I want to know so bad how people feel about these series. But you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all fantastic things. There's been so much outpouring of support and love for my newest Gray Man video, and I am shocked. But it means so much because I put a lot of work into that video. I put a lot of work into all my videos, but I put a lot of work into that video, and just like seeing the amount of people who are enjoying it and just watching it, it's just great to see that all my work is paying off, basically. So thank you so much for fantastic November. Thanks for checking out the 30th episode of the FVI. You all are amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.